Here we are with week 2 of our guitar course, and tonight we're going to look at our first 3 chords. These are going to be members of the chord family of D, and the chords we're going to learn are D, G, and A7. Then we'll use these 3 chords, or 2 of these chords anyway, in a simple song. However, this week we're going to concentrate on the chords rather than on playing the song, and we'll get to some basic rhythm next week. Okay, to begin with, let's go over once again the names and numbers of the strings. This is the first string, which is an E, second string, which is a B, third string, which is a G, fourth string, which is a D, fifth string, A, and finally, sixth string, E, open. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or E, B, G, D, A, E. Okay? These are the frets, and this is the first fret, this is the second fret, third fret, fourth fret, fifth fret. There's a position marker in the middle between the fourth and the fifth fret. Normally we would say this is at the fifth fret position. Okay? The way you make a chord is to put your fingertips between the frets on the various strings, depending on what the notes of the chord are supposed to be. And the notes for a chord are the first, third, and fifth notes of the scale of the key in which the song is being played. So for the key of D, the first, third, and fifth notes would be D, F sharp, and A. So we had to put our fingers on the strings in such a way that the only notes that sound are D, F sharp, and A. And that determines what the particular fingering for the chord is. The fingers we're going to use are these 4 fingers, which are index, middle, ring, and pinky. Now, you don't necessarily use all 4 fingers to make every chord, but some chords do require 4 fingers to make. Others just require 3, or in some cases even 2. But we'll be primarily working today with these 3 fingers, which are again first, middle, and ring. Alright, you have the chord diagrams, and they show the fretboard graphically as if you were looking at it from a vertical position. So the black dots show where your fingertips go on the strings in order to make the specific chord. I do want to remind you that when you're making these chord formations and putting your fingers down, you're playing with your fingertips, not like that. You're playing with the tips of your fingers. And you're trying to put those fingertips between those 2 frets, about in the middle or as close to the middle as you can get. Okay, that's where the resistance of the string is lowest, and it's easiest to press them down. So if someone, me, says to put a finger at a particular fret, in this case the index finger on the first string at the second fret, this is where you would put that finger. If I said put the ring finger on the second string at the third fret, then this is where it would go. You see, it's the ring finger. It's on the 1, 2, between the second and the third fret. Okay, but that's called the third fret. When you're between the 2 frets, you're talking about the next fret down. So 1, 2, 3, this is the third fret position. All right, let's go with our first chord, which is a D chord. And the way it's played is that your first or index finger is placed on the third string at the second fret. Your middle finger is placed on the first string at the second fret. So you have two fingers at the second fret, index on the third string, middle finger on the first string, and then you have the ring finger coming down to the third fret, playing the second string. All right, so this is a three-finger chord. And if you play all the strings, not including the sixth string, just play the first to the fifth strings, it sounds like this. So that's the D chord. And remember, those black dots represent where you put your fingers, but they're not always going to line up exactly parallel to one another because you do have to have a place to get your fingers in there. But that's the way the chord looks. And this is the way it sounds. That's the D chord. The next chord we're going to learn is a simple two-finger chord. It's A7. It's a derivative of the full A chord, which I've showed you in the chord diagrams, but it's easier to make the A7s, and it's useful for the little song that we're going to do. So we'll put that in and use the A7 today. Okay, the A7 is played. You can use either your index and your middle finger, or as I like to use, middle finger and ring finger. Okay, in this case, the middle finger is going to be on the fourth string at the second fret, here, and the ring finger is going to be at the second string on the second fret, here. So you have those two fingers. Note that that one's just out of the way. So both of the strings, the fourth and the second, are fretted at the second fret, and then make this sound. That is an A7. Our last chord for the day is a little more complicated because it uses the entire width of the fingerboard. So you'll have to stretch your fingers a little bit, but it's fairly common for chords to use the entire width of the fingerboard, so this is just something that you need to get used to. Alright, the chord is G, and I play it like this, using my middle, ring, and pinky, but for beginners it's usually easier to play it with the index, middle, and ring. So that's the way we'll learn it today. Sounds like this. Alright, that's the G chord. How do we make it? Alright, index finger is on the fifth string at the second fret. Middle finger is on the sixth string, the E string, the low E string, at the third fret. And the ring finger, stretch it way over there, is on the first string at the third fret. So you have parallel fingers. You have your middle and ring finger on the sixth and first strings at the third fret, and then you have the index finger on the fifth string at the second fret. Looks like this. Okay, so that chord is the G chord, and it sounds like this. And that is the G chord. One of the most difficult things for beginning guitar players is to be able to make those chord changes, that is to switch from one chord to another over the course of a song smoothly and cleanly. You want to have these chords sound without any buzzes or muting strings, so that when you play them by each string, you get a nice clean tone. And you'll have to work a while on that. It takes a while to get your fingers tightened up, toughened up, where you can play these without being uncomfortable, and you can play them without buzzes or mutes. What we want to do is change those chords during the course of a song. All songs have chord changes in them, so one of the things that you have to do is not just learn the chords, but be able to switch between the chords as the song progresses. So let me give you an illustration here using the little song, Skip to My Lou. This only has 2 chords in it, D and A7, and there aren't very many changes, so it's a fairly simple song. But here it's just included as a demonstration so that you can get some idea of how these chord changes fit into the context of a song melody. Lou, Lou, skip to my Lou, 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 skip to my Lou, 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 skip to my Lou, skip to my Lou, my darling. Flies in the buttermilk, shoe fly shoe, flies in the buttermilk, shoe fly shoe, flies in the buttermilk, shoe fly shoe, skip to my Lou, my darling. Okay, very simple song, Skip to My Lou, and what you saw happening was that as I played the rhythm of the song, at certain points in the song, it was necessary to go to another chord, going from D to A7, and back from A7 to D. Okay, and that's how songs, for the most part, are arranged. Next week we'll talk a bit about the rhythm that's involved in this, but for today, what you want to do is just work on getting those chords made cleanly and comfortably and switching between them. So let me give you a little exercise here to do that with. I'm going to do this real slowly, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 4 beats of D, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then I'm going to change to G, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then I'm going to change to A7, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then I'm going to change back to D, 1, 2, 3, 4. So let me do this through once just so you get an idea of how this is supposed to work. It's a chord changing exercise. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, G, 1, 2, 3, 4, A7, 1, 2, 3, 4, D, 1, 2, 3, 4, G, 1, 2, 3, 4, A7, 1, 2, 3, 4, D, 1, 2, 3, 4. Today we've learned to make the 1st, 4th, and 5th chords of the D chord family, and they are D, G, A7, and back to D. So refer to your chord diagrams and practice, practice, practice.